was dropped on Thursday Thoughts. Yes, blame me for 9:06. I had some traffic we had to take care of here. Plotting out the day. So John here, Matty Cruz on the ones and twos, you there. It's a Thursday, so it's Thursday Thoughts. We actually have MLS to talk about, and it was last night with Messi and friends taking on RSL for the grand kickoff of the season. And so the kickoff has officially kicked off. And morning, Alex, morning, Ricky, and morning, Ropes. It was great to see everybody who came out last night to Elsewhere and the green room that they have. And it was a fun night. We got to kind of preview things with Atlanta United a little bit and got to catch up with the new Vice President and Chief Business Officer, Sarah Kate Knopfsinger. Kate Knopfsinger's conversation is on the network. So if you missed that, you can catch up with it on the network. It was a fun half hour, and we kind of got to look at how things are from a business sense and what it was like for Skate to be around when the club was just starting. And now that she's back, she came back with the new position in November. I want to say November 6th, I think, is the date that she came back in. So it's great to see everybody last night at Elsewhere on West Marietta over by King Plow. And then once again, the conversations were had after the fact. And once again, thanks to Scott Flood and the Flood Project for clearing the runway so we could be at Elsewhere. And a fun time was had by all. So when we have these remotes, come on out and hang out with us. I know that a lot of folks probably were coming off of work, and it might have been a little hard to reroute and go from work to hanging out before you have to take care of things at home. But thanks to everybody who did come out last night. It was a great crowd. And thanks to all of you guys for being a part of all of these remotes and live TV and all the daily programming and everything that we do here at SDH. So very, very cool stuff we did yesterday, and we're back at it again today. So Thursday Thoughts on the network, and obviously opening kickoff and other things. The opening segment, we'll talk about Messi and friends. Jason's coming up at 9:30 because Jason's getting ready for practice with Atlanta United, and he's going to observe starting around 10 o'clock. And so we'll catch up with Jason about what happened last night, and we will catch up with him about Inter Miami and Messi and friends and RSL and Atlanta United. We'll probably take it position group by position group just to kind of get his thoughts about how he views things with a very deep roster and a very competitive roster, which is what Gonzalo Pineda is looking for. And with all the competitions that you're hopefully going to be in and making deep runs in Choice D, all the above, you're going to need to have a deep roster. So we'll analyze what was going through Jason's mind when it comes to Atlanta United in 2024. 10:30, the man returns. 10:30 Eastern time, probably on his second cup of coffee by the time he hits us. It's the return of Nico Moreno, gone 2 weeks because he was on vacation in Colombia. We will find out about vacation. We will find out about Nico. We will find out what it was like to take time off. Novel concept here. We have no idea what he's talking about. But we'll find out about vacation. Good to catch up with Nico. We'll find out how he views the Western Conference heading into 2024. We'll talk about Seattle, talk about the West, and get ready on that perspective. Tomorrow, once again, remember, 9:30, our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. It should be a Greg Garza appearance. And then at 10 o'clock, Kevin Egan joining us, the new host of MLS 360 on Apple TV. And so we will do our 360 in a half hour or so and catching up with Kevin before he hits the bright lights of New York City and hosts MLS 360 this season. It's going to be fun to catch up with Kevin to get his preview of what's going on in the world of Major League Soccer. So all of that coming up on the show this morning, and obviously Matty Cruz on the ones and twos. She can crash whenever she wants. When she has a question, literally, she will just pop up and ask questions, and so anticipating that as well. Opening kickoff and the other traffic brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There is the QR code. That is the Abby QR code. Better than any QR code I could have ever come up with. So that's the QR code for our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Click on that. Takes you to Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. With opening kickoff, obviously, one of the topics that was discussed yesterday by Don Garber was Open Cup. And just a quick update with Open Cup with what we think we know and what's going on and all these kinds of things. And so right now, as of yesterday, the conversations involving Open Cup are this. The USL had their statement yesterday where they are committing to all of the activity that is attached to the teams. They came out with a statement yesterday that their USL championship teams are going to be engaged, as well as the USL League One teams are going to be engaged. And so right now they are at the they know what they're up to. Obviously, we're going to be catching up with everything with Major League Soccer, but the USL franchises, they made the blanket announcement yesterday that they are going to be in as a group. And Paul McDonough, the big boss man in charge of USL, he said that it was a bit of a surprise that the information was what it was when it came to Open Cup. And initially with what we saw involving the Major League Soccer franchises and everything. But right now, the USL folks are in, and Don Garber came out yesterday in his preseason kickoff comments, and mentioned Pro and the battle with PSRA and what's going on with that. When it came to Open Cup, Don Garber said, once again, remember, the intention was to use MLS Next Pro teams in the Open Cup. He mentioned that back in December. Request was rejected by U.S. Soccer. Now, MLS is still looking for ways to decrease their participation, be involved, but not have everybody involved as they traditionally do, and run and managed by the U.S. Soccer Federation. So here's what Garber said yesterday. Done an enormous amount in supporting the pyramid. If not for MLS second teams participating in the USL when they relaunched, I'm not sure the USL would be where it is today. And we would have been more than happy to stay in USL if we were not asked to leave. So I want to put in perspective our commitment to the lower professional levels of soccer in America. Our investment is in MLS Next Pro, which is almost unprecedented in professional soccer, that one league could be launching 30 to 35 teams that are developing players that ultimately will be participants in the U.S. national team, help seed our first teams in time. That's an enormous investment in the pyramid, but the question is, does that investment have to be with another league that ultimately we probably don't have the best relationship with? Not by our doing, by the way. And so Garber admitted schedule congestion, Leagues Cup, Champions Cup, and then the summer tournaments coming up over the next 3 years, Copa America, Club World Cup, and the World Cup in 26. Garber said that MLS is committed to participate, and to what level is still to be determined. We will continue to do what we can to support the U.S. Open Cup, but we're not going to do it in a way where the entire onus on making that tournament work is on Major League Soccer. It needs the support from our federation. They've pledged to show more support to that. It needs to make more sense for our players and for our clubs. At this point, we're subsidizing that tournament, end quote. So that's the notes from Don Garber and his opening statement leading into the 2024 season. Like I said, the USL clubs that are engaged, the 37 that have announced they're in. And so now we're waiting to figure out the grid, because we're in a qualifying cycle. We are still awaiting the next round of who's going to be playing with whom and what it's going to look like when it comes to qualification and all that kind of stuff. So, and advancement. And so we'll see what happens with the advancement in Open Cup, where things are. And once again, you go to the cup.us, Josh Hackala has a great grid traditionally of where things are. The 2024 qualifying schedule right now, as we go through, it started all the way back in September, and we have cleared our way through the qualifying cycle. And November 19 was the last time back in 2023 where we are. And so just trying to figure out where things stand with Open Cup. Obviously, USL teams are in, 37 are in, maybe the 8 from Major League Soccer. Don't quite know that as of yet, but still waiting to figure out and find out what the deal is when it comes to Open Cup here in 2024 and the onus therein when it comes to who's going to be in and what. So also yesterday, I don't know if you saw in New York City, the protests that were on the streets of New York and it looked like Guido Gonzalez Jr. was part of the megaphone that was part of the protests on the streets of New York City. And Garber, in those same comments in that same press conference, said that he could not recall a union rejecting an agreement that had been negotiated by its elected leadership, and questioned whether the negotiation and vote that led to the lockout in the days ahead of the season starting was intentional. They, meaning Pro, quote, they, meaning Pro, reached agreement with PSRA prior to the start of the season. Membership didn't support the agreement. I can't remember my near 40 years in sports of having a bargaining unit reach agreement, then not have their members support it. And rank and file, I mean, I remember some union votes where that has happened in the past, but obviously nothing attached to sports. So he says, very disappointing. The process, in my opinion, one that was either intentional or there's a disconnect between the members and their elected negotiators. So I'm hopeful they'll be able to reach an agreement prepared. Not the way MLS was hoping to start a season, but you can't really negotiate with an entity that, in my opinion, hasn't really negotiated with Pro fairly. Members of the union and other supporters protested outside of MLS and Pro offices in New York, protested in the Dallas area on Wednesday, and Garber obviously couldn't predict when the lockout may end because he said, don't even know what it is they're looking for because we agreed with their elected representation. So that's where they are right now with all of that. Last night, when it came to the replacement officials in the match, didn't seem to be a whole lot of, didn't see a whole lot of issues with the replacement crew. They seemed to handle it very well. There was a call in the second half where they had to think about things sequentially and went through a video assistant review, and they handled it well. It was the offside call involving the touch from Julian Gressel, and Gressel basically just does a bit of a flick, and that touch created the offside that was with, I want to say, Busquets on the left-hand side, and then there was a foul in the 18. But sequentially, it was one of those issues where if Gressel had not touched it, then you were fine. But Julian had touched the ball on its way to Busquets. It was offside before the foul was called. That was handled well. So I can't remember last night any other and Del, we'll get into that one. Any real issues last night with this crew. So I think that they handled themselves really well. At the same time, once again, think about this. Out of crisis comes opportunity. And with these 66 officials that are in as replacements right now, I would think that this is an audition for a lot of these guys where they want to show, like the man in the middle last night who had only, I think, a handful of matches in USL Championship as a center ref, most of them as a fourth. But last night, that crew seemed to handle themselves pretty well. This is an opportunity for these 66 individuals to make themselves be seen by everyone who gets to, figure out, with Pro, Major League Soccer officials. So maybe these 66 guys, and this particular crew, obviously, the starstruck, fireworks, Messi and friends, all that kind of stuff. They didn't seem intimidated by their surroundings. I think they handled themselves pretty well. And this might be a bit of a warning shot for some of the folks that are right now not working because they're focused on walking back and forth on sidewalks in New York City and Dallas with inflatable pigs, I think that's what it was. But this is an audition, and you might end up with folks that are better with this audition than some of the folks that we currently see on a daily basis. Dell brings up last night the big call RSL just outside the box toward the end on Chicho Arango. Okay. I thought Chicho was trying to earn a foul. And like I said, and this is the subjective nature of the business. I thought Chicho was trying to earn a foul late. Where I know that Dell is looking at it is that Chicho was fouled. I thought he was trying to earn a foul. Yes, Maddie.
Sorry, you brought this foul, and I have to talk about it because I saw it too. I could see it both ways because at first, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's going to be a foul. But then I watched the replay, and I thought the same thing. I thought he was looking for the foul.
Yeah.
but I could see it both ways.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
I could see both, but I do think the ref called it right in that it's not a foul. I think he was looking for the foul. I think he was. I think he went down. Was it a great opportunity for Real Salt Lake? 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I do think he was looking for the foul.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think that Chicho was trying to earn one late. Del, I know where you're coming from, and it's one of those. And Harry goes, it was a clear foul, and this just one game, so let's not crown the scab. No, I'm not crowning them. I'm not crowning them yet. I mean, it is one match that is an example going forward. So, I'm looking. Like I said, I will take. And when it comes to officials, they're offensive linemen, to be perfectly honest. If we don't talk about them for making egregious errors, then, they're doing their job. But at the same time, I mean, let's think about this also. And I know that Dell says that he was in the Salt Lake camp with Barajas and Chang. To be fair, it could have been a foul. Absolutely. Shooter quoting Dennis Green, of course. We're going to have mistakes.
Absolutely.
We are going to have mistakes with these crews. But remember, we have mistakes with the crews that we currently had employed that were part of the 2023 season as well. And there were egregious errors with the folks that were employed calling matches last year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it happens. And I mean, Abby puts it best. We're all human. Mm-hmm. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you'll have a better view of a foul. Sometimes you won't. It depends, like it's all subjective. And as much as it kind of sucks and we can look at it and be like, oh, that's clearly a foul or that's clearly a PK. We're not the ones on the field. We're not the ones who have the training. And I'm not saying that, listen, I'm the first one to be like, to be all mad at the refs for making calls. Trust me, I am the first one to do that.
Yeah.
But I think from doing a couple things, realizing like, oh, well, they have a better clear of it. I will say that they did use like video review. I thought they implemented that very well last night.
Yeah.
Taking that time to look at it and then going back to it. Because I feel like you see sometimes refs will not use it. They have the option and they'll be like, nope, I saw it. It's this. When I'm like, you have the tools. Mm-hmm. Why don't you use it to make a better guess or a better decision?
Yeah. And Shooter referencing my favorite football movie of all time. It's like Shane Falco over Eddie Martell. Sometimes the scabs have heart. I hated Eddie Martell as my quarterback of the Washington Sentinels. Shane Falco was the man that united the Washington Sentinels in a strike and got them to the playoffs, beating Dallas on Thanksgiving. The Washington Sentinels deserved Shane Falco at quarterback. Jimmy McGinty is nothing if he's not a conventional coach. One of the best football movies ever, The Replacements. And this is kind of what we're looking at here. And this is an opportunity. When you got the guard and they're there to protect the quarterback, then that's what they're there for. When you've got Jumbo as one of your tackles to protect the quarterback, you bring in a sumo guy. So that's why I love The Replacements. The Replacements is one of my favorite movies, and I probably have more Washington Sentinels gear, more movie gear than any other NFL team that ever existed. So, so yes, it is like Shane Falco over Eddie Martell. You get a scab quarterback in there, you get a replacement quarterback in there, and you see that the team rallies around these guys. Dell wants to blame Don Garber. I blame Pro and PSRA with the negotiation more than anything else, because apparently there was an agreement. But something happened. When 95.8% of the rank and file vote against what the negotiators said, the issues will be there. Yes, and Nigel McGruff. Nigel Gruff is what you're looking at with the cigarette-smoking kicker, Reese Evans. Nigel Gruff, the kicker.
Well, before I leave, I will say, to second your point, I still firmly believe that Remember the Titans is one of the best.
And it is absolutely true. I guess if you want to look at it for a best comedic football movie ever, I'll go.
Is in The Replacements.
I'll go with The Replacements. But yes, obviously, Remember the Titans for dramatic effect and storytelling and all that kind of stuff.
Such a good
so
movie.
that's why I said I like comedic, and that's why I put comedic to the front of the line when it came to the replacements. Yes, Nigel Gruff, kicker. Number 1 in your number 16 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Shane Falco. Yes, and the Titans was filmed at Sprayberry, and it was also filmed in Conyers out at Sharp at Covington, Sharp Stadium in Covington. So we had a game on Football Fridays there last year where it was like, oh yeah, this stadium looks familiar, and it's like, yeah, Homer Sharp Stadium in Covington was where they taped some of Remember the Titans. So okay, so Maddie, you'll be back. Obviously, Jason, I think he's coming in between 9:35 and 9:40, so he'll be on for like 15 minutes when he gets settled up there close to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground.
I will return.
All right, so she will return. Let's see, was that the movie with the wire? Yeah, he's wiry. Yes, he's wiry. Exactly, the wiry kicker. Exactly, he was. We'll get your thoughts on what happened with Messi and friends, and we'll go over all of this stuff. So let me go back and say hi to everybody this morning. Morning, Michael Valverde. Morning, Fourcard. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Hutch. Yes, all your trophies belong to us, Miami Borg FC. But that Borg's got some issues, man. They got to figure out. Luis Suarez, man, that was painful watching. Morning, Dell. Morning, Tom. Yes, there were, and I think that's going to be a point that we're going to talk about when Jason joins us here coming up in just a little bit. Fitness. So let's see. Morning, Abby. Glad you're here. Morning, Harry. Glad you're here. Shooter. Shooter is on fire. Shooter is ready to go. Shooter got a 1-0 win in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza last night, and he is still firing with both barrels this morning about his club and how much he is not a fan of Kurt Analfo because, Kurt wanted to get past all the baloney. But Richie Williams apparently is still in charge with the Revs too. And you got Caleb Porter in there. I have Esmir Bayraktarovic on my fantasy team, by the way. He's a very cheap talent. So Shooter wants to bring back Bruce. And so let's see. Michael Valverde, morning Emilio. Let's see. Morning Dawn Star. And so I'm trying to catch up with everybody, see if I missed anybody. Morning Wiley. So Wiley Coyote's in this morning. But no, what we'll do when Jason comes in, obviously, we'll talk about Messi. We'll talk about Atlanta United. We'll get ready for that. 10 o'clock, we'll go over things, news of the day. There is some stuff to talk about after yesterday. And then at 10:30, Nico Moreno joining us with everything on his mind. And I know that a lot of folks are talking about the officials, and I know a lot of folks are talking about Messi and friends. At times last night, so let me go back to Michael Valverde. Messi match last night. They escaped with a W. Fourcard said RSL was scared. Ricky Ricardo, RSL had every chance to be in that game, but was never clinical. Left the door open, Miami, and got punished. Miami's going to have some real defensive issues. That is absolutely true. Before Jason comes in, let me skip back and take care of some housekeeping. Once again, remember, this is the scarf to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. It is one of the cool projects that we've been attached to as Marshall Islands is building a national soccer program from the ground up. And we've been following the story. We're going to continue to follow the story and see how things are with our friends at the Marshall Islands. They had their first futsal cup late January, early February. We'll try to catch up with Justin Wally and find out how things are with him now that he has settled back in Europe after 40 hours of flying. But here's the scarf, 32 plus 5 if you want it shipped domestically. If you want the Abstermobile and you want to visit with Abby, it's just 32, and Abby will take shipments, and she'll wander around the city in the Abstermobile and drop these off. Once again, these help the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Thank you, Ropes, for the donation last night, and thanks for picking up a scarf because, Ropes was wandering around elsewhere with the Marshall Islands scarf around his neck. So you can get these two, 32 for the Marshall Islands scarf, 5 extra if you want it shipped, and you can either have Abby visit, Venmo me, Venmo the show, reach out to the show, reach out on Twitter, however you want to reach out to us. We'll get the scarf to you. Once again, you can Venmo, PayPal, what have you. You Venmo it to me, I send you the scarf. It's that simple. So if you're interested in helping out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation as they're looking to come here a couple of times in 2024 and help out and help the program out. And they're looking about the possibility of having a friendly with another federation in Northwest Arkansas in October, because the Marshallese are somewhat centralized, and they are in the four corners of Northwest Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. And so that's the part of the country that they're in. So they're looking to have the clinic and the trials and the friendly up there in Northwest Arkansas in October. So this is to help them out to get folks here to the States so they can have their clinic and their trials and all those kinds of things in October. Technical Director Lloyd Hours thinking of coming by here in the spring just to kind of see what's going on. But once again, $32 for the scarf. I mail it to you. It's an extra $5 if you want it shipped. If you want to see Abby, it's $32 flat. Once again, helps out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, and you get to see Maddie model the thing on the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website. So there you go. That's the Marshall Islands Soccer scarf here at SDH, and you get to see what is going on with that. So once again, very, very cool stuff from our friends there. And thanks to our friends at Die Hard for helping us create that scarf. But it was great to see Ropes last night and have Ropes pick one up. And so he's got that in his office. He's wearing it now all over the place. So once again, you can hang out with everybody and see what's going on. So yes, and here's Abby with the here's Abby. Venmo me. I send you the Google form to fill out so we know where and how we're delivering. Thank you. Thank you for making this a lot more easily said than I did. You're better at the traffic than I am. So yeah, Venmo me. I send the Google form, and it's also in the Discord for those of you that might want to fill out a form in the Discord as well about how to do it and how to get it. So there you go. David, we will ask Nico about what he brought home, and we'll see if he did bring his Colombian coffee home. But like I said, we'll talk to Jason. We'll talk to Jason coming up in just a little bit when he gets settled up close to the training ground. Talk about last night, talk about Atlanta United, and then he will be on his way to practice. And so, Ropes, you were just as equal a model as Maddie. You were an in-person model last night. That's what we need. We need folks that will model the summer scarves and model them proudly. Once again, thanks for helping us out, Ropes, with that last night. It was great to see you. And now you can hang that and you can spread the word, spread the gospel about it too. So Ropes also, Copa tickets, got season ticket holders in 30 minutes. So hang on to your heads, kids, to see how many times it's going to take you to mash the return button or the recycle and figure out how you can get tickets. And let me know if you get tickets. That'd be the first thing. So that's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's the QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. When you click on the QR code or just go to kickoffcoffee.com, kickoffcoffeeco.com, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% of your purchase knocked off, and then they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives that they have earmarked that are very, very cool. So once again, Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, QR code SoccerDownHere15, and then they take 10% and reinvest it. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Since obviously the first topic that we're going to be discussing with Jason outside of what happened last night at Elsewhere Brewing is going to be the Messi and Friends match last night. Let me go back into the comments because I know that a lot of you have been talking about it. And as we had pretty much determined, there was going to be issues. Tom mentions the dead pink legs. Yes. Dell once again following with Fidel Barajas. Notice that too. Fidel Barajas checking in late. And it was a very, there was that one possession where RSL, I swear, had 30 or 35 passes and Miami was just there. They were hanging out. I mean, they had a lead, but possession for RSL, but they couldn't convert and had a couple of chances. Drake Callender came up big at points, but did not convert, lose 2-0. Four-card did not even bother with the second half. Michael Valverde, Agent Fitness will make Messi and Friends a crazy ride. Yes, they absolutely will. And Ricky, Miami on their heels. RSL did everything until Miami scored the second late to seal it. Yep, it was that was part of it as well. And that's the thing that you notice with Messi and Friends. It's almost rope-a-dope-ish, where you'll have all these passes and you won't be clinical and you can't put the ball away and you still are chasing a goal, and then something happens with that late transition and Messi goes, and it was the younger guys that were there as a part of it too, putting that second goal in the back of the net. But just like that, I mean, early on, it was just like bombs away. They are launching from it. Literally, it was just like, if you're open, shoot. And so Yedlin, Gressel, I mean, it was like 11-3, I think, at one point in shots. And then it evened up at 13-13 in the second half. But early on, it was just bombs away by Messi and friends last night. And, you got to give Zach McMath early credit before the error that created goal number one. But McMath was there for the challenge. The defense was there. And then McMath makes the error on the first goal that made it 1-0. So that was the early part. And then, 70th minute, 60, 65, 70, they were gassed. Absolutely gassed last night. Michael Valverde, Gimpy Suarez was hard to watch. Wanted to give him a man hug. I mean, watching Luis Suarez last night. I mean, it seemed like he was moving better when he was forced to run, because when he was walking, I swear he looked like a gunslinger in those old Wild West movies where you just gotten off the horse and you're just kind of, you're just slow walking, and it is just out to the edges, and it is not very pretty. It looked very, very painful with Luis Suarez. That is going to be one of the questions with Luis Suarez. How do you manage Luis Suarez this season? I do not anticipate Luis Suarez starting in Los Angeles this weekend. I don't. Because if he, by his own admission, says that it takes him 2 days for his knees to respond after a match, that means Thursday, Friday. Then do you take Saturday off, or do you just kind of sit there and walk around a little bit with ice on your knees? And then maybe he comes in as a substitute against LAG. I don't anticipate him starting. I think what you have up top is you've got Messi with Campana and Taylor. That's what I think you have up top against Los Angeles on the weekend. I think Suarez comes in off the bench, if at all. Michael, again, Julian was a mixed bag last night. Didn't seem out of place in the midfield role. Wasted some great opportunities. Jason did the math. Apparently, Julian ran the most in the first 45. So then, but yes, there were times where, Julian did a lot of running. And then there was a sequence. There was a sequence, I want to say it was in the 50s. It might have been the early 60s, where he made 3 mistakes. Actually, well, it was 2 missed shots on open nets, and then a defensive turnover that was a horrible pass. 2 shots he had the chance to put in the back of the net, and he missed. Then the one turnover deep in his own end. And that was literally like in like a 7 to 10 minute span. So that was an interesting subplot last night as well. David, RSL in half one was hot garbage. Their front four couldn't make 2 consecutive passes. Yeah, I was listening to the first 45 on the way in from elsewhere last night. And it was like I said, it was like bombs away for Messi and friends. It's open, shoot, go for it, knock yourself out. Like I said, it was like 11-3 in shots at one point. Michael paying attention to the promos. Yeah, sipping kickoff coffee, listening in the morning. Never disappoints. Derek. Morning, Derek. RSL had no quality in the final third. They didn't. Down a goal, and there's a lot of this. There's a lot of passing from one end to the other, trying to find an opening. And then when they did find the opening and get behind the back line of Messi and friends, they just couldn't put it in the back of the net. Like I said, calendar came up big a couple of times, but they just couldn't put it in the they just could not put it in the back of the net. They could not. Yes, Don Star, RSL should have had a goal. RSL should have had a goal. They should have. But like I said, calendar came up big a couple times. But yeah, they needed to be. They needed to finish. They needed to be more clinical. And it was that And the Colonel mentioned on the 280 character app, by the way, that a 5 juice box play on the over means he's 5 in the hole. I will always, and I feel like I need to do a public service announcement, almost like a PSA. What I say, take the opposite. What I say has no real basis in research or fact. I mean, Colonel, I love you. But, yeah, Colonel says if you put 5 down on the over, you're 5 in the hole. And that's true. It's 2-0. But think about it. Honestly, if RSL had finished their chances in the first half, it literally would have been 3-1. So there's your over. I mean, if you'd played the over at 3.5, that was when everything changed to a minus. And we'll get into that. I'm a tremendous slouch, Abby. Abby's like, stop selling yourself short. I'm a tremendous slouch. I feel like Hawkeye Pierce. But, yes, Dawn Star, they should have had a goal. They should have had 3 in the first half. There's your total. Should have been 3-1 at the break with your total at 3.5. And yeah, then that would have been the be-all, end-all. And I would have been right.
Would have been a contender instead of what I am right now. Let's face it, Charlie.
So there we are. Nothing like a little on the waterfront for you this morning. All right. So before Jason joins, let me get into really quickly. Well, it sounds like he just joined. Well, there you go. Oh, he's joining. All right. I was about to talk about the folks about what's going on TV before we go. But Jason, what is the word, sir?
Sorry, I didn't mean to just crash like that. My bad.
No, it's all right. I was about to do a topic, but it was just what's on TV and what folks need to be watching today. But no, it was a good stop.
I thought I would actually go into the green room first, but it just magically appeared. I'm like the Kool-Aid man.
Yes, you are. You and Maddie both. Okay, so we were talking about Messi and friends last night from what happened last night. And now that you've had, 12 hours to digest what you saw, what'd you think?
I mean, not surprised. I think RSL was maybe a little too. And again, I'm not surprised because I know Pablo Mastroeni's style of play. I know what he wants to do in these situations. The textbook tells you go on the road against a really good attacking team. You play in a conservative way, you keep the game tight. You try to hit them in the second half. And that almost worked, to be honest. You give up the goal in the first half on a goalkeeper error by Zach McMath. Miami looked cooked after about the 55th and just a series of horrific mistakes in the back. And RSL couldn't make them pay. And then at some point, when you have Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez on the field and they're able to get a moment where their individual skills shine, they're going to punish you if you don't take advantage of your opportunities. So, if you didn't watch the game and you just see the score line, you might come out of that and say, oh, yeah, it's Miami. They're going to win the MLS Cup, and this is what to expect. They win 2-0 at home. No worries. There should be worries coming out of it because of how shaky they look defensively, which is not new with what we've seen in 2024 from Miami. And, yeah, those legs got heavy. It's early in the season. You're still building fitness. It is a long process. But I didn't think Miami did anything to make my opinion change about them being a 4th, 5th, or 6th place team in the East.
Yeah, and a lot of folks in the Twitch pitch this morning, they want to give Luis Suarez a hug, man. That was a painful look at times.
His knees are not good. But he loves what he's doing, and I think more than anything, he loves the opportunity to play with his best friend. And the time that he had at Barcelona with Messi, and if you go back to Suarez's departure from Barcelona, that wasn't handled well, and that was painful for him. So, he'll get through it, but you're going to have to manage minutes, and he's going to have to manage the pain. The thing is, and it's easy to listen to the things he's talked about with his knees, his teammates have talked about. Go back and look at his production in over 40 games last calendar year in Brazil, which is a good league.
Yeah.
he scored a boatload of goals, and he created other opportunities for other players. So while he's not at 100%, and yes, he is dealing with the pain of bad knees, he's still a very dangerous player.
No doubt about it. The reason that we've got you on for the next 10 minutes before you go racing into practice is to talk about a team called Atlanta United. And they're getting ready for a trip to Columbus. You guys are heading up tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So you're at T-2 for Atlanta United, prepping for Columbus. For those who haven't had the chance to listen, what has it been like for you to see this club in the preseason from day one to the time in Tampa to all the times that you've been there at practice at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground? What has this progression been like as we're now at T-2?
Feels different in 2024 than it has in previous preseasons. And, over the years, COVID and other reasons, we've had varying levels of access to preseason, and we've done a varying level of matches in preseason. This year we've done a lot, but I don't think it's just because of that it feels so different. I think it's just a really different collection of individuals, and they've come together for a really, I think the team has a different personality going into 24, which I like. I think this is a group that is very driven. Pretty much every player that has spoken to the media, and this has been echoed by Gonzalo Pineda, by Carlos Bocanegra, by Garth Lagerwey. This is a team that wants to compete for trophies in 2024. This is a team that obviously wants to finish in the top 4 in the East because that gives you the best route to compete for MLS Cup at the end of the season. But this is a team that wants to compete for those trophies. It is a long season. You're going to have ups and downs. It is very difficult to do what we saw from Cincinnati last year, what we saw from Atlanta in 2018, what we've seen over the years with teams that go on that consistent kind of run in terms of a supporter shield or competing for a supporter shield. That's difficult. You've got to position yourself, in my opinion, if you're Atlanta United, to give yourself every opportunity to win trophies this year. And I think having all the players in preseason has been a big part of that. I think the personalities that are part of this group is a big part of that. I think getting guys like Gregerson and Slish are different characters in this group. And, I don't know if it's just different background, different mentality, maybe just a different personality in general, because Miles Robinson, Mateus Osechi were both very driven players. But Gregerson and Slish, I don't know, it feels maybe more urgent. And that just might be where this team is right now. And that's a good thing. I like it. I like how the team is laid out. I like the depth in this group. But now you're down to the portion where you got to produce. And the first test is as big of a test as you're going to get, because for all the hoopla about Miami, Columbus is the favorite to win MLS Cup going into the year. They won it last year. They brought everybody back, and they were getting better as the year went on last year. There's no reason to think that they're going to slide backwards in 2024. It's hard to maintain top levels of play, of course, but Columbus, to me, is the favorite coming into the year, and that's Atlanta's first test. It is a very good measuring stick, and we'll see where this team is in day one.
Yeah, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and you get that challenge in week number 1 here with Atlanta and Columbus. And with this roster, I know Maddie's got a question, so Maddie, hang out for a second. I'll after Jason answers this question. Competition at every line. I mean, literally, you talk about the depth of this roster, and it's good competition to have, because you're going to need these guys in all the various competitions that you want to be in, the depth of playoff runs, et cetera, that you're hoping for. Keeper, there's competition. Backline, competition. Midfield, competition. Frontline, competition. That's a good thing to have, and it's going to keep everybody focused on the task at hand to get to all of these goals that you want to accomplish. You're going to have to bring your best every day.
Yeah, I think with that being said, there is at most positions a hierarchy, and that's good too. You've got guys who can step in when needed, but you also have an established 11, maybe outside of 2 spots to me. And this is not factoring in international duty and fatigue and other elements. This is everybody's available. What's your best 11? Goalkeeper, I don't think we know that answer right now, and that answer might change throughout the season between Brad Guzan and Josh Cohen. And center back, I think there is going to be competition between Derek Williams and Luis Abram. I think Derek has had a great preseason. Luis has had a good preseason as well, but they give you two different things. And just like we talk about in the midfield, the chemistry between your center backs is as important as your individual quality. So which one is the better partner for Gregerson? And we might see both early on as that starts to get sorted out. But Williams was the one to me in preseason who maybe improved his standing the most coming in, at least in my mind. And I don't know if it changed for the coaching staff, but for me, I thought it was Abram, Gregerson, no question. I got a little bit of a question now. But fullback, it's Lennon, it's Wiley. That's the best fullback pair in Major League Soccer. Holding midfield, Slish, Muyamba. I think that is established, although Jay Fortune, Dax McCarty are going to play. The number 10, we know it's Thiago Almada. We know he's going to miss some games with national team duty and such. Nick Firmino has played a lot in the preseason. I think he feels very comfortable with this first team group. The wings, it's like the midfield to the holding midfield to me. Shande, Saba, those are your number ones. Tyler Wolf and Edwin Mosquera are not far behind, but they are the reserves there. They're going to get games. They're going to play a lot. They're going to come off the bench a lot. But you have established starters in Shande and in Saba. So competition is good, and it's going to make every training session better. But I think in terms of the starting 11, when everybody's healthy, there's two questions out of the 11 for me, one bigger than the other, that I think will play out over the first part of the season. And again, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have this competition for spots, and especially in those two that we've talked about.
Maddie, what's on your mind?
Hello, Jason.
Hello.
It is very clear, I think, just from the energy and everything that we're seeing on social media, that it feels very different than it has in the past couple of seasons with the team chemistry, the way the team is talking about this season as a whole. What have you been seeing in training and in practices that kind of emphasize that a bit more, especially going into this first game?
I think the biggest reason it feels different, and I don't want this to come off as like, oh, it wasn't urgent before, or oh, it wasn't as competitive before. I don't think that's the case. I think it's different right now because this group's been together for longer than maybe any other Atlanta United team in preseason. Because, I mean, you think back even to year one, you had Carlos Carmona and Joseph Martinez come in early February. You know, pretty late, not late in the process, but fairly late. Last year, you had Abram and Yakimakis come in later. So when, and Yorgos, I think it's a prime example and somebody who I've noticed a difference with him in preseason, because when you come in as the cars running down the road, you're not in charge generally. If you hop in late, you're not in charge of what music's getting played, right?
Right.
Other people have already taken that. They already got the aux cord. So you got to find your spot, fit in as best you can. When you're there from the jump on the road trip, you're gonna, if you're that person, and Yorgos is, I think it's clear to see that he is a big presence in a good way inside of a group of people, you're going to be able to take command a little bit more. And he has, and that's good. This group's been together. So you're past that getting to know you area, even with Stian, with Derek Williams, with Bartosz. You're past that, hey, I don't really know you. Let's kind of figure this out. What do you like? These guys have spent time together. They've been in Florida for a couple of weeks. They know one another. They know what buttons to push in a good way in training. And that's something that I've seen, especially on Tuesday. Team's very vocal and very vocal in a good way. A lot of communication, but a lot of motivation as well, coming from everybody. Coming from guys like Brooks Lennon, who has been on the quieter side at times since he got here. I think he's really stepped up in terms of being a leader in this group. Somebody like Dax McCarty, who has seen it all in this league. You get him in these sessions. He's big in those moments, especially with the younger players. But you're hearing guys like Firmino. You're hearing the other players who you might not have heard before But because this group has been together for so long in preseason as a whole unit, I think you're so far past the getting to know you stage that it's a good thing. That's why it feels different to me. It's not that it's better because they weren't as hungry before. It's that they're further along in the coming together phase. Any group of people, it takes time to get to know one another. These guys have had that time, and I think it's going to pay off.
I know you got to head to practice. So what's the broadcast plans on Saturday?
Saturday, 1 o'clock for the Five Stripes Countdown. We have an hour of pregame on 92.9 The Game this season. We are the only radio station in the country doing 4-hour broadcasts for MLS matches. I will put an asterisk on that. I'm not 100% positive of that, but I don't think there's anybody else doing more coverage than we are on a game-by-game basis. So 1 o'clock, Five Stripes Countdown. 2:10 is your kickoff. Go ahead and mark that down. So all season long, if it is an Apple TV game only, if it's not a Fox game, this is according to Kevin Egan, who would know, our friend from MLS 360 and Apple TV.
Yep.
10 minutes after the time is the kick. Last year it was 9. So 2:10 kickoff. And then for road games in the past, we haven't been able to do a full hour of the full-time report. Mike Conti and I still have to get on a plane and get home. But Abe Gordon, Garrett Chapman, they will take you through all that. And we will have audio from Gonzalo Pineda, hopefully players where we can grab them before, we all got to get ready and get out of there. We'll have that for you, so you'll be able to hear that on the full-time report. So 4 hours every game day, an hour of pregame, hour of postgame. Boom.
Looking forward to it. All right, get to practice, my friend.
All right, see ya.
All right, that's Jason. And so Jason, like the Kool-Aid man, comes crashing in, and we get his thoughts. Traditionally, what we'll do during match week is if it's a road game and they're going to be flying out on Friday, we'll try our best to have Jason come in on Thursdays, like in this 9:30 slot, because of practice starting at 10. If it's a home match and Jason can crash at 10 or something like that. So I think Thursdays, Fridays, 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And then that's when we'll catch up with Jason on a weekly basis. Badger, after missing the whole preseason, playing a lot of minutes with the U23s with Argentina last several weeks, how ready is Almada to fit back in, especially with new teammates? Don't know. That maybe, Maddie, 30 minutes at least coming back, because you've got to purge the emotion and all of the energy that you invested into the CONMEBOL qualifiers. You got Argentina to the Olympics. You've got to push all of that. You've got to push all that through your system and make sure that you're ready and that you're back to being, that you're back to locked into being Atlanta United, because representing your country and representing Argentina and getting Argentina into the Olympics is a tall order. And so you've got to get your rest, work your way out of that, come back into a frame of mind for, getting ready for Major League Soccer season. I don't know where Thiago is right now. Jason might have better ideas today after practice and tomorrow, so keep an eye on the folks that are there. But that is the $11 gazillion question right now. How long will you have Thiago, Maddie, coming into the weekend? My guess is that he comes in for 30 minutes late in the second half, and we see what Gonzalo Pineda does with the starting lineup. That's my gut. I have no empirical evidence on that whatsoever, but with everything that he's had to go through with CONMEBOL, come out of that, come forward, I'm thinking 30 minutes. I don't know off the top of my head, but we'll probably know more tomorrow and today and on Friday.
Yeah, and I mean, me and Abe kind of talked about this on Monday a little bit too, because I had the same question. I was like looking at it in perspective of how Almada hasn't been there for some of that time and that development. Are we going to see Nick Firmino possibly taking in that spot, especially for this game against Columbus? And he kind of told me, and I kind of agree with him, that Almada would be starting. For how long he's in the game, I don't know. I could see it where he's maybe in for the first 45.
Okay.
And then he comes off at half, and we have Nick Firmino step in.
Okay.
I could see that. I also could see it either way. I mean, Almada is one that, kind of likes to jump in head first and, play the full time. I could see where he is in it the whole time. I honestly don't know. I don't know physically where he's at, especially with, he came back. He's been here for a couple weeks now. But again, I just don't know where he is physically and where they're going to try to be going in forward and what Pineda wants to do with that.
All right. So as a public service, I have posted Abe's and Garrett's. I'm calling them Gabe. I'm blending them together. Abe and
I said Gabe too when I was talking about Abe too.
Abe Gordon, at Abe Gordon on the 280 character app, and at GChapATL. So at Abe Gordon and at GChapATL. That's Abe and that's Garrett on the 280 character app. So follow them, because they are now a part of the must follow brigade for you when it comes to Atlanta United. So at Abe Gordon, at GChapATL, that's what you're staring at right now with the pre and post hosties. And so it is Mike, it is Jason, it is Abe, and it is Garrett. And so Mike, Jason, that's Abe, and that's Garrett on the 280 character app. Once again, at Abe Gordon, ABEGORDON, and at GChapATL, GCHAPATL. So those are the 280 character app handles for Abe Gordon, Garrett Chapman for your pre and your post. Apparently, folks are in the queue trying to get Copa America tickets. Badger says only 7,900 people for Argentina and 2,600 people for the U.S. ahead of him in the queue. So that's only 10,500 folks that are ahead of Badger when it comes to getting tickets and getting into the building. Whole brother. And yes, and Michael reminding us that they beat Brazil, meaning Argentina, in the CONMEBOL qualifiers to get into the Olympics. That was what had to be done. Argentina had to beat Brazil to get into the Olympics. Brazil, not in the Olympics. Argentina knocked them out with that win on the last day of the CONMEBOL qualifiers. Ropes apparently only 183 folks in front of him for U.S. tickets. So whatever avenue Ropes did, you guys have to continue to make sure that you let us know about where things are with your ticket quests. So Ropes isn't doing too bad. 4 minutes into the wait, only 183 in front of him for U.S. tickets. So this is going to be also part of the quest this morning. How long is it going to take for you to be in the queue to get your tickets for Copa America? So there you go. Two-factor author. And so, Alex, two-factor authentication isn't going through for Ticketmaster. Of course it's not. Yes. So for the match, Abby says it'll be cast at the block party. Make sure of it at least at the faction tent. And Hutch, I agree, it's the hardest working broadcast team in Major League Soccer. But the thing is, if you, Atlanta United fan and listener, for a positive, was not interested in that kind of content, there would not be this kind of investment by 92.9 The Game. You guys have told them, and you guys have been here with us, that if you were not interested in Atlanta United content and soccer content in general, that you wouldn't be investing all of the time and all of the energy that you are in listening to things like 92.9. So 92.9 goes from half hour before the match, or if you had the super hyper mega pregame show from Big FOX, 55 minutes, because you have to kill time until like 25 after. But if you weren't invested and not interested, and the listenership numbers didn't reflect that, there would not be the investment of hour ahead at 1 o'clock, doing a full hour to get you to 2:10, have a match, and then an hour after. Maybe they get to 5. Maybe you go from an hour after the conclusion of the match. So 4-hour block of soccer content because you have been interested. You've grown from just the kickoff show, the pregame show, and then just doing the five-stripe final to where it is now a legit hour leading in and an hour coming back. So 3 hours to 4 hours now when it comes to your Atlanta United radio, and it's because you guys have been interested the entire time. So they know that you're interested, and they're devoting these kinds of resources to it. So Abe and Garrett were now a part of it. And once again, we catch up with them 9:15 every Monday morning here on Soccer's Morning Show. And we catch up with them and get their thoughts about what's going on with Atlanta United. We'll have them on, obviously, on Monday, and we will discuss, as we say, I feel like Linda Richmond all of a sudden. Discuss down to 6,000 and 1,500 for Badger. Because Badger,
Okay.
so Badger in 3 minutes has gone down 1,900 and 1,100. So he's gained 3,000 spots in 3 minutes. That's not bad.
Okay, is this just for supporter section?
No, this is Copa. This is Copa America. This is not.
Okay, I thought it was coming out on the 28th.
But
Is this like special, like?
I think this is season ticket holder diving into.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, I was like, wait a minute, did I miss it?
No.
I didn't.
Nope. No, I think this is the season ticket holder super special proceedings to
got it.
Yeah, ropes, season ticket holders. So, yes, so season ticket holders are in 6 days ahead of the rank and file. And so the numbers.
Also, other news.
Yes, other news.
Not soccer news, but pretty cool for KSU news.
Okay.
KSU is featured in the college sports video game that's coming out.
Okay.
So you can play as Kennesaw State if you wanted to.
Okay, so you can play as Kennesaw State, but are you stuck running the veer? Do you have to run the veer as Kennesaw State?
Oh, I don't know, but we're in the game.
Okay,
we're in the game. Yeah, I just saw it, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, so that is so Kennesaw State. You can win a national championship in the new video game if you should so choose. Frankly, I think you should run the veer. I think you should run triple option because I want to see the computer-generated version of Brian Bohannon on the sidelines and having teams trying to stop the triple option when it comes to the video game. I think that would be very cool. That you have
it could be fun. It could be fun to see. I'm excited to see what Brian Bohannon looks like in the video game.
So CG Brian Bohannon. Let's see if it's accurate to what he looks like in real life, and was he consulted about how he looks in CG?
Exactly. I need to know.
Yes, so we need to discuss those kinds of things. Yeah. What else is on your mind?
In unrelated news, this is about Messi and friends as well again. But it's the Real Salt Lake. It is when Real Salt Lake, when Gressel had stepped on his foot, on his hand, and Messi proceeded to try and score a goal on top of him.
Oh, that was pretty sweet. Yeah, that was.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, when you had when the RSL player goes down on the turf, Messi chips the RSL player and then gets a shot off. So yes, that was absolutely insane, but nothing to be surprised about when it comes to Lionel Messi. This was a story that you had brought up in our production queue. And this came in yesterday, and once again, this is what happens when you don't have an afternoon drive show. Rick Westhead. And for those of you that don't know Rick Westhead is the lead investigative reporter at TSN up in Canada. Rick Westhead is someone that you do not want knocking on your door. You don't. This is like the reporter with the crew, and they knock on the door in the house in the neighborhood, and they're like, "Hey, we'd like to ask you some questions." Rick Westhead is 60 minutes up in Canada, 200. And so Alex, doing the Lord's work here, is still letting us know the 200 section are $120 plus each for the USA match. Not necessarily a surprise. Keep us posted on your sojourns as we go here this morning. Nico Moreno joining us in about 20 minutes. So Westhead is one of the great investigative journalists north of the border. Done a lot of fantastic work. He is a must follow on the 280 character app, and I'm not kidding. I mean, if you have the extra space to follow Rick for all of the stories that are going on north of the border, I would recommend it. So for Rick Westhead, it's basically R Westhead on Twitter. So it's not hard. And I'm calling it that because it takes too much thought to call it by its actual current name. So when Westhead knocks on your door, that's not something that you want to have happen. Yesterday, And we've been following this story in various countries and such. And we've also followed what's been going on with Canada Soccer, where apparently now they have a new TV deal, which is amazingly similar to the old TV deal, and they're back on One Soccer. But yesterday, the Canadian Soccer Players Association, the union representing players on the women's senior national team, has filed a $40 million lawsuit against 15 current and former Canada Soccer board members who signed the sponsorship deal that started all these problems back in 2018 with broadcasts and funds and all these kinds of things that we've been talking about ad infinitum, because we need to. 15 current and former Canada Soccer board members who signed the media sponsorship contract in 2018 with Canada Soccer Business. The CSPA filed a notice of application against Canada Soccer on the 16th and a statement of claim against the 15 current and former board members on the 20th. Both documents filed in Ontario Superior Court. The statement of claim lays out CSPA's arguments for the current and former board members' alleged negligence. The notice of application is a request to the court to allow the CSPA to sue those board members on behalf of the federation itself. Named defendants include Steve Reed, who was Canada Soccer's president from 17 to 20, Nick Bontis, who was a VP from 17 to 20 before coming president, and Charmaine Crooks, who was a board member since 2012 and is now Canada Soccer's president. Lawyer for CPSA declined to comment. They wrote an email and to Westhead and gave him 2 sentences. Basically, organizations currently seeking advice on the matter. Lawsuit alleges board members breached their fiduciary duties to Canada Soccer when they approved CSB media and sponsorship deal in 2018, seeks to hold them personally liable for damage caused to Canada Soccer. Statement of claim, quote, each of the 2018 Canada Soccer directors owed Canada Soccer a fiduciary duty to act honestly and in good faith with a view to the best interests of Canada Soccer instead of considering the best interests of Canada Soccer in approving the CSB agreement. However, they focused on the best interests of CSB, a private for-profit company. According to the statement of claim, the board failed to canvass the market for competing bids, failed to conduct appropriate diligence with respect to the fair market value of Canada Soccer's media and sponsorship rights, failed to make adequate disclosures to the membership of Canada Soccer, and failed to follow necessary approvals processes. The women's national team has their first game in W Gold Cup today. They have qualified for the Paris Summer Games, where they will compete as defending gold medalists. And once again, remember court documents. Lawyers for the women's team players wrote to Canada Soccer December 19, advising the Fed that if appreciable progress was not made toward amending the controversial deal with CSB, players would claw back their NIL rights from the Federation February 1st. Canada Soccer would then be obliged to advise its sponsors to stop using name, image, and likeness in any advertising. 14 days notice was given back on January 30 to take legal action against the 2018 board. When the lawyer received no response from the Fed, the players went ahead with the lawsuit. The Canada Soccer CSB contract, and remember, we went over this when this hit the wall back in July of 22. Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage hearings that they had on Parliament Hill last year. The agreement says CSB, which owned the Canadian Premier League, so this is also where part of that money is going. Money is going to the CPL, the Men's Pro League. Paid a guaranteed fee to Canada Soccer annually between 2019 and 2027 in exchange for rights to sell both broadcasting and corporate sponsorship rights to the men's and women's national teams. $3 million in 2019. Topped out, guaranteed 2027, $3.5 million. Signed by Reed, CSB had the right to extend the deal for an additional 10, and if it triggered the extension, they had to pay at least $4 million a year. So, oh no, we triggered the deal. You've got to pay an extra $500,000 a year when it comes to this deal. And then they talk about the agreement. Members of Parliament have pressed Canada Soccer for answers. They negotiated the deal in 2017 when U.S., Canada, and Mexico were favorites to secure the World Cup ahead of Morocco for 26. And then it is a long piece. It is a long piece. And like I said, when Rick Westhead is knocking on your door, that is not something that you want to have happen. So Canada Soccer is now getting sued. That is your required reading for the day. And so there you go. All right. So here's your updates when it comes to season ticket holders trying to get tickets for Copa. Alex says nothing under 150 in the hundreds. He's out. Badger. As soon as he selects something, it disappears. Wow. Okay. 4-card. Copa ticket prices are too rich. Badger. 3 minutes ago, 13th in the queue for Argentina. Going to check prices before I bail entirely. Abby tried to pay for tickets no more than 15 times in seats for Argentina, and they were very expensive. U.S. tickets in the queue, since you had a lower number in that queue. Badger, 450 in the lower bowl for Argentina. 185 in the upper. This sounds like this is a mess. KFC can't even log in because the authentication isn't working with the codes via text for AT&T. Ropes went ahead and got tickets for the 300s for U.S. and Panama. Shnikes, folks. Wow. Queue is way down for you. So the season ticket holders, and thank you for sharing your information as we go here, but apparently, Manny, the season ticket holders are having adventures trying to get tickets to the Copa.
Yeah. It's giving me some good things for me to look at.
There's some agita, man. I mean, the ticket prices, not necessarily a surprise, but I mean, 300 and 400. And I will guarantee you this, that there will be a secondary market. There will be a secondary market for all of these tickets. Also, remember what we were talking about with Argentina. We'll have news on that in a second. Ropes, 110 with fees to get in the building. Sticker shock is real. $375 for the 200 level, Argentina. Jeez. Abby's got 145 for the U.S. 200 level. Okay. Remember what we were talking about, and keep us posted. Once again, keep us posted about this sticker shock. Like I said, Nico Moreno coming up in about 15 minutes. We were talking about Messi and friends and how it was going to be, how China and Hong Kong were mad about Messi not appearing because he was injured, and then they thought it was something that was a purposeful shrug, that he was not going to, that he wasn't really injured, that he was doing this politically, and that there was political motivation, and he had to come out not once but twice, and the second time on Weibo to tell folks, no, I was injured. But apparently Hong Kong and China didn't believe him, and so they had suspended the idea for the matches that were going to be the Team Argentina friendlies that were going to be going on later this year. Well, there was thought that those matches would be moved to the United States. They now have been moved to the United States. Argentina matches confirmed Friday, March 22nd versus El Salvador in Philadelphia. And this is courtesy of Andres Cantor on the 280-character app. So Argentina now playing Friday, March 22nd versus El Salvador in Philadelphia. My guess is this will be at the link. Tuesday, the 26th of March versus Nigeria at the LA Coliseum. The announcement set for tomorrow. So Rich Ransom might be getting sticker shock coming up in short order. March the 22nd, Nigeria, El Salvador in Philly. Tuesday, the 26th of March versus Nigeria at the LA Coliseum. The announcement is set for tomorrow. So not in China, not in Hong Kong, moved to the U.S. because China and Hong Kong got mad. So now you have two opportunities to see Argentina and seemingly pay these kinds of prices that we're seeing this morning all over again in friendlies in late March. So you got that going for you, which is nice. So
always fun.
Oh, yes, absolutely always fun. Once again, let's see. So KFC picked 2, and they were fine before the Cups moved. Wow. Picked 2 for us, and they were fine before the Cups moved. Wow. Just the prices here. $375 for the 200 level for Abby that she sees. $145 for the U.S. 200 level. I can't say I'm surprised, mind you, But as we do like real live play-by-play when it comes to tickets, so we'll see what's going on. And there we go. All right. So not fine, gone. Thank you. So pick 2 for you, and they were gone before the wow. All right. So Abby got 2 for the U.S. and only 1 for Argentina. Okay. Only singles available now. So we're 21 minutes in, and there are now singles that are left on the board. Single tickets available. Maddie did the Irish goodbye. Not necessarily a surprise. All right. So, wow. I mean, that's heavy. That's heavy duty stuff. Yeah, I know 4-card. I haven't heard anything about credentials yet either. So, yeah, 4-card stress. How about a credential? Badger's going to bail. Save up for the World Cup in Wisconsin versus Pitt in Dublin in 2027. Start your saving now. Wow. Like I said, I can't say that I'm surprised with these ticket prices. I really can't. Can't say that I'm surprised. But, yikes. Man. Other news this morning from our friends at The Guardian. This is from Paul McInnes. Ukrainian groups are urging Rishi Sunak to release the £2.5 billion from the Roman Abramovich's sale of Chelsea. Coalition of human rights groups has written Rishi Sunak calling on him to end the impasse over using funds from the sale of Chelsea to help victims of war in the country. Nearly 2 years after sanctions had been imposed, it still remains frozen in a UK bank. Despite a commitment to use the proceeds for humanitarian purposes, last month the European Affairs Committee of the House of Lords said it was incomprehensible that the money was untouched. 58 organizations, including the Ukrainian Human Rights Coalition, Ukraine 5 AM, signed a letter from the NGO Redress calling on Sunak to take action. And they start with the letter, and they're calling on it to resolve the impasse. British government's admitted it has a disagreement with Abramovich over how funds should be used, with the government insisting money should be spent only within Ukraine's borders. Abramovich claims the original terms of the license under which the sale of Chelsea was allowed to go through did not make that specification, instead allowing money to be spent on exclusively humanitarian purposes, supporting all victims of the conflict in Ukraine and its consequences. Letter urges Sunak to go beyond the stalemate, find other mechanisms to unlock the money. More from the statement itself. Letter calls on Sunak to work with the Ukrainian government and civil society to, quote, guide in the repurposing of the funds and, quote, establish a working group between your government, civil society, and survivors to ensure the funds are distributed in an effective and timely manner. Recommends the government should consider directing some of the funds through existing mechanisms, such as the Register of Damage in Ukraine, rather than through a proposed charitable foundation yet to be properly established. So keep an eye on that when it comes to the hue and cry, making sure that folks are trying to get the $2.5 billion from the sale of Chelsea by Roman Abramovich put back into the direction to reinvest it into Ukraine. KFC literally picked 3 different sets and they all disappeared. No ability to enter the number of seats to select, so you just fail going from place to place looking. This does not sound like a good ticketing experience. Between prices, trying to pay for them, and then not being able to pay for them, and then getting things switched around, then this sounds like it is a long and winding road for very expensive tickets. Now, that's what this sounds like in a bunch of different ways. Joe Hart set to retire at the end of the season. Celtic and former England keeper Joe Hart, he's set to retire. Manchester United's Luke Shaw is in serious danger of missing the Euro 2024, came off injured in the match against Luton Town, and they're going to assess him, meaning Manchester United, but expect him to miss a few months, in quotation marks, with a muscle injury. Shaw's Southgate's first choice left back, and it would be a big blow if he cannot make it. But Chelsea's Ben Chilwell, counted right back Kieran Trippier. So we'll keep an eye on Luke Shaw, sustained a muscle injury, out for an extended period. So keep an eye on everything. I know that Drew definitely will be keeping an eye on everything that is attached to Luke Shaw and the injury. Dani Alves, very early this morning in Barcelona, sentenced to 4 years, 6 months for the rape of a 23-year-old woman in Barcelona nightclub in December 2022. Audiencia Nacional asserted the victim did not consent to sex with Alves, and the evidence presented to the court, in addition to the victim's statement, proved that she had been raped. Alves denied wrongdoing, and his lawyer, Inés Guardiola, has said they will appeal. Prosecution demanded a 9-year sentence, and the victim's legal team asked for 12. Alves' sentence is barely more than the minimum of 4 because he's completed a quarter of his sentence on remand. He could soon be released on license. Ordered to pay €9,000 for physical damage. To the victim, offered to pay compensation of €150,000, which the court has considered an attenuating circumstance when passing sentence. Under legal supervision for a further 5 years as well, having a restraining order banning him from contact with the victim for 9.5 years. So that came out very, very early this morning as well from our friends at The Guardian. In the Times, Brentford's owner, Matthew Benham, is appointing a bank to oversee a £500 million sale of the club, £500 million. He took over the club in 2012, wants to remain majority owner, but that may change if he finds the right buyer. This is from Matt Lawton over at The Times. Matthew Benham has appointed Rothschild to oversee the potential sale of Brentford in a deal expected to value the Premier League club at about £500 million. Insiders insist Benham would ideally like to remain the majority owner while attracting fresh investment. But once again, if Rothschilds finds an appropriate buyer, Benham would then agree to relinquish control, seek to remain involved as a minority shareholder. Expected to launch the process imminently, interest likely to come from U.S. investors attracted by the chance to gain a relatively inexpensive foothold in the Premier League. Brentford spokesperson came out with a statement, and it's 3 sentences long. So keep an eye on the status of Brentford as a club and whether or not it will be put up for sale, how much of it will be put up for sale, and where Brentford would go from here. That would be very, 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 very interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. So got some news from a bunch of different places, and it'll be interesting to see how it all goes. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch and where to watch it before Nico joins us here, coming up in short order. Alex, surprised that the number of tickets filter wasn't there. Never seen that. Text issue probably isn't Ticketmaster's fault with the cellular issues today. Apparently the entire city of Charlotte has had cell issues today. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So just keep us posted on all these kinds of things. Surprised number of tickets wasn't there. Yeah, cellular issues. The word is cellular, John. So all right, gossip at the BBC. West Ham eyeing a move for Dominic Solanke. Them and everybody else. Chelsea lead Arsenal in the race to sign Victor Osimhen in the summer because Chelsea wants to spend a lot of money. Thomas Tuchel is going to prioritize a move back to England when he leaves the German club at the end of the season. Jurgen Klopp will not replace Tuchel at Bayern when he leaves Anfield, according to the Liverpool manager's agent. Bayern Munich will rival Liverpool in pushing to appoint Xabi Alonso from Bayer Leverkusen. Zinedine Zidane would return to management to take the Bayern Munich job, according to Sport in Germany. AC Milan's Olivier Giroud could leave the club for MLS at the end of the season. That comes from our friends at Corriere dello Sport. Let me guess. LAFC. I'm guessing. Who knows? Let's see. Let's see what the Milan and Giroud towards farewell. The family is pushing for a new destination. And once again, this is once again Google translated. And playing a season as a great protagonist. They're talking about Giroud's success. Milan and MLS hypothesis for Giroud. Quoting the article, Corriere dello Sport. Giroud seems attracted by the opportunity to play in the USA also for family reasons, but as long as he remains at Milan, he has set himself the goal of improving his numbers. But yes, in the past, we have seen Olivier Giroud being linked to teams in Major League Soccer, and so Olivier could decide, so it's a hypothesis from our friends at Corriere dello Sport, once the contract is up, that Giroud could be going someplace else. So could Giroud be reunited with Hugo Lloris at LAFC? Hey, LAFC's done it before. investing in players for half a season or whatever. Signs Giroud to a 1.5-year deal, 37, 38, 39-year-old strikers. Why the hell not? Chelsea's going to listen to offers for Robert Sanchez. Could look to replace the 26-year-old keeper, but they are not entertaining offers for Levi Colwill, who's a target for PSG and Liverpool. Bild in Germany. Real Madrid's Luka Modric set to leave the club this summer. Keep in mind, once again, summer window, Messi and friends. Keep an eye on that. So apparently, our cell phone update, AT&T is dead in Atlanta. Shows SOS mode, AT&T cell call and text nationwide outage. Wow. Okay, so if you've got an AT&T phone this morning, you're certainly having issues. And it's not helping if you're a season ticket holder trying to get tickets through your mobile phone and trying to get into the Copa America. Keep an eye, Luka Modric, Messi, and friends. We'll say it here now. Kylian Mbappe will take a pay cut to join Real Madrid when he leaves PSG. We went through those numbers, and it's a pay cut of about a third if you include bonuses. Al Ittihad is going to target Heung-min Son and Mo Salah in the summer window. Manchester United Arsenal, keen on Bayern Munich forward Matthijs Tel. Everton midfielder James Garner being targeted by Spurs and Newcastle, appealing in many aspects to the Premier League sides. Liverpool hope to be favorites to sign 18-year-old Brazilian midfielder Luis Guilherme from Palmeiras. And Chelsea and Arsenal leading the race to sign 15-year-old Aberdeen center back Lewis Carroll at the end of the season. 15-year-old Aberdeen center back, Chelsea and Arsenal. I mean, that's 15, and you got to move him. You got to move him now. So this would be a good piece of business for Aberdeen if that was to come to pass. It's amazing what happens when you invest money in players. Okay, so cell phone update. Cell is working maybe on the Wi-Fi. Parents called me and said Verizon's also acting up. So AT&T and Verizon. Verizon's acting up. Parents called on the landline. See, now I've got a landline. I have a landline here in Office HD. It is not this, mind you, but nevertheless, I still have a landline. Still have a landline. And traditionally, what we did is we got the landline for the boss's mom. And the boss's mom always just wants to call a home number. She's got a landline at her place. And so we still have the landline here. And it's all part of keeping the landline and a generational thing. And so we've kept our landline. And it rings occasionally, but, I mean, it's a good safeguard. Who knew that I would ever say that having a landline is a good safeguard? I had no clue. Yes, Abby, we are the few. We are the few. Hand raised in the air with a fist. 4-card. Days like today when the cell phone doesn't work are days people landline live for. If it wasn't 12 feet off to my left, I'd come over, I'd go grab that phone, bring it over here, and check the dial tone because I know it would be there. When you have national cell phone outages or in markets where cell phones don't work, the landline is the way of the day today. And so we got a landline here in Office HD. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo for the morning. What to watch, where to watch it, as we wait for Nico Moreno to come and join us this morning. As Nico, now that he is back, Nico's back. Yeah, Nico is back from Colombia, and he's getting ready for the tournament. Also, LA Galaxy acquired Ghanaian forward Joseph Paintsil from Genk as their third DP. They needed to swap some GAM for some international spots, and they did that. They signed Paintsil, 47 goals, 6 seasons in Hungary, Turkey, Belgium. Joins Gabriel Peck and Ricky Puig as the DPs. Reported $10 million fee for Peck. Paintsil arrived in a deal valued at $9 million. Ricky Puig arrived from Barca on a free. So 3 DPs, once again, spending money. AEG will do that. We talked about it last night at Elsewhere. There are going to be different ways to spend money and build your teams. So you end up with Philly doing it their way, Dallas doing it their way, Seattle doing it their way, Atlanta doing it their way, NYC doing it their way, LAFC doing it their way, LAG doing it their way. There are a bunch of different ways to build a club and be successful in Major League Soccer. LAG, after throwing bad money at folks, Douglas Costa, and not renewing the contract of oft-injured Chicharito, they brought in Paintsel and Peck to join Ricky Puig. Paintsel signing yesterday. Paintsel signing yesterday. Remember we talked about how folks are locked into the idea of, getting everybody in the barn early, like it's going on with Atlanta United. Then you have the idea of what's going on in building your team. Sometimes you get them late, like Jason mentioned with Carmona and with Joseph Martinez. You had to wait for a while. Well, and you see what happened there. But LA Galaxy, until the bitter end, until the absolute bitter end. So we'll see what happens. But once again, LAG not afraid to spend any money. Dropped $19 million in transfer fees to bring in Peck and Paintsel. Paintsel signs yesterday. The week leading into does Paintsel make a debut this weekend against Messi and friends on national television? Probably. I don't know if he starts. But once again, you get the debut like we saw with Zlatan. Oh, come on! And I know that's what the kind of moment that they're looking for from all of that. Also, can your landline get tickets? I don't think so, Ropes. Unless there's a storm and the lines are cut, then you'd be Saul, absolutely. Or some crazy driver hits a pole. Hutch doesn't want another landline, but I'd sure go for a rotary dial cell phone. Man, I will tell you this. The way that we're locked into retro these days, absolutely the truth that we would really kill for rotary dial cell phones. That'd be kind of an awesome retro kind of a thing. If you had a cell phone that was just rotary, that'd be pretty cool, actually. Emilio, now Mata needs to be moved this summer. Don't want to wait till winter contract ends. The end of 25. Let's check. Leaving on a free. No, it's not. It is not an option. No. Thiago's deal, and like I said, and this is going to be a window at a time. You see what happens if he continues to build his international dossier, which we anticipate that he is. So let's take a peek at the salary situations. No, I know 4Card, that's not how cell phones work, but I think it'd be kind of cool if you had a rotary cell phone. See, look, I blame Hutch. Hutch is the one who wanted the rotary cell phone. And I think having a rotary cell phone would be kind of cool. Let's see. So, Thiago, yes, until the end of 25. Yes. So that is correct. Contracts till the end of 25. And no, leaving on a free is not an option. Atlanta will have figured that out long before. But it's the summer window that helps out European clubs, kind of hamstrings MLS clubs if they're outbound with their transactions. But like I said, right now it is Thiago Almada and Atlanta United, and Thiago getting ready for the beginning of the Major League Soccer season. Yes, he'll be away on international duty, probably to the two friendlies that were announced earlier in the show in late March. Perhaps, possibly, probably, maybe. And then the Olympics. And so Copa America. And so there will be absences. And so Atlanta United, ever since the discussion was about moving Thiago Almada 6 months to a year ago, they've been looking and doing analytics, and they've been trying to figure out, okay, what do we do for replacements? This isn't something where it's like, oh, crap, somebody wants to buy Thiago Almada. What do we do for replacement? No, there's been a long process in trying to figure out, okay, who are we getting? What kind of a talent do we have? But once again, the discussion that we had about Nick Firmino. Firmino becoming familiar with everybody. Nick's going to be getting reps. I wonder what Maddie and Abe were talking about on Monday. Does Nick Firmino get reps to start? Does Nick give you 45? Does Thiago give you 45? If Thiago can give you 60, you start him. If he can give you 45, you probably do 45 with Nick, maybe 45 with Thiago. But like I said, we'll find out more today after practice. and then once again on Friday after practice, and we'll see what's going on with Thiago Almada. Abby likes the ability to do PayPal later for the ticket. Oh, wow, they're doing the Wimpy method. Okay. PayPal pay later for the tickets that she got today. Ended up with 3 for the U.S. and 1 for Argentina. And KFC says it suddenly refreshed with the number of seats, filter, and blocks opened up. Talking is exhausting for Emilio. Smoke signals. But then you might lose things in translation. That's the problem. You might lose things in translation when it comes to certain smoke signals, especially if the wind blows, and the wind blows kind of funny in a day. So, so just talk. You can do it virtually. All right, what to watch, where to watch it today. Apparently, T-Mobile's also having problems. And, hey, Nicholas Firmino wants to go to Europe? Yeah, okay, fine. That's great. I love the fact that players want to challenge themselves like this. That's great. That's what it should be. You should want to challenge yourself, and you should want to go to where you think you can really make a splash. And Nick's contract is another year after Thiago's. Christmas Eve 26. So Nick is another year attached to his deal. Thiago's is Christmas Eve 25. Nick's is Christmas Eve 26. What to watch and where to watch it today. BN en Español. They've got Copa Libertadores at 5 and 7:30. And LDU Quito and Fluminense is the nightcap at 7:30. If you don't have BN, what you can also do is get Fanatiz. FNTZ.co/soccer down here. And you will end up with all the BNs, Liga 1 Max, and you'll get CDO for the fans, Teise, Nuestra Tele, all those places. You get them all at Fanatiz. And with Fanatiz, you get all this stuff, and you really can go into South American soccer and really watch and invest into all of that. FNTZ.co/soccer down here. Helps the network out, helps Fanatiz out, and it helps you really get to your degenerate levels when it comes to watching the sport, especially now with the leagues kicking back in. CBS Sports Network, doubleheader on Europa League. Rennes and Milan at 12:45, Roma Feyenoord at 3. FS2 has the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. Mocha and Nashville SC from the Dominican Republic, I imagine, at 7 o'clock. And Cavalier and FC Cincinnati at 9. That is tonight. So the doubleheader, 7 and 9 o'clock on FS2. BN en Español with your simulcast of the Copa Libertadores. W Gold Cup is on ESPN Deportes tonight. Costa Rica, Paraguay at 6:15. Canada and El Salvador at 9 o'clock. Remember, we talked about Canada and the mess that they are currently going through with the women's national team. And they kick off their W Gold Cup tonight at 9 o'clock against El Salvador. 2TN simulcasting Roma and Feyenoord Europa League. Unimas is simulcasting Europa League as well. ESPN Plus is simulcasting the W Gold Cup. Golazo Network has the Canada-El Salvador match as well. Paramount has it all. Paramount Plus has it all. Champions League in the AFC right now is coming up in about 15 minutes. And then Europa League, 4 matches at 12:45. 4 matches at 3 o'clock. Conference League, 3 matches at 12:45. 4 matches at 3 o'clock, plus the Gold Cup. VIX has all the matches as well. So it is a full day at 12:45 and 3 o'clock for everything going on with Europa League. Freiburg Linz, Karabag, Sporting Braga, Rennes Milan, Toulouse Benfica, all at 12:45. 3 o'clock, Europa League. Marseille, Shakhtar Donetsk, Roma Feyenoord, Sparta Prague, Galatasaray, and Sporting and Young Boys. That is your 3 o'clock in Europa League. And Europa Conference League, Bodo Glimt and Ajax at 12:45, Dinamo Zagreb, Real Betis. I mean, this is some hardcore stuff. Ludogorets and Servette, Eintracht Frankfurt, Union Saint-Gilloise at 3, Ferencváros and Olympiacos, Legia Warsaw. So if you want to check out Bart Slich's old club, Legia Warsaw is at 3 o'clock against Molde. Slovan Bratislava and Sturm Graz is at 3 o'clock. So that's your truly degenerate watching of the sport on Thursday. It is all over the place. And once again, fntz.co/soccer down here. It'd be very cool. And 4Card, we're getting back to the phone. And 4-card guess you can just have it as a toy attachment. Is that with the option year in the contract? Yes. Yes. And not all of them include option years, but some of them do. And so I don't think all have option years. You can just sit there and lock in somebody for a 2-year deal. And it's part of the discussion to have option years, but I think that does include the option year 4-card yes. Abby, most lines not supporting rotary anymore. Remember when my husband's grandmother moved, the new building she had to get a push-button phone. Couldn't support her rotary, and that was probably 18 years ago. T-Mobile's having problems. And we also found out today that Ticketmaster does PayPal. So Abby is paying off the tickets in 4 payments via PayPal. That's awesome. Shoot, with the price that's going on, with all the payments, with how expensive they are, shoot, I don't blame you a bit if you want to do the budgetary bit. Absolutely. Don't blame you one bit. And did you see this? I thought this was intriguing, by the way. Tom Gibbs over at the Telegraph. He was having a discussion about Sir Jim, and he was catching up with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe, everything is becoming officially official, and he's getting his percentages. And once he invests the $200 million extra, then his percentage will be at like the 28.9 or whatever it was supposed to be. So Telegraph and Tom Gibbs, they do the story catching up with Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe had a press conference on Wednesday. So here's what was said. Those speaking to him on Wednesday, meaning Ratcliffe, believe he was joking when he said, quote, and this is, nobody's ever seen him actually, of Sheikh Jassim, his supposed rival for ownership of Manchester United. Quote, the Glazers never met him. He never. I'm not sure he exists. End quote. Next paragraph. This is a small semantic jump from the question we'd all been asking for months. Is this guy for real? With Sir Jim merely removing the 4. Perhaps he was just giddy. After all, every young boy's dreams of growing up and owning a 27.7% stake in the country's 6th best football club. This is certainly a bold claim, but arguably not as substanceless as it first appears. And so then he goes and examines the evidence. Well, he said, take this for the tongue-in-cheek and complete, grain of salt that's there. So Tom Gibbs says, well, yeah, you could sit there. We've seen pictures. And so literally what they've done is this is a tongue-in-cheek article on the existence of Sheikh Jassim, who bid against Sir Jim Ratcliffe to get Manchester United. They have the pictures. They said, wasn't he at the 2022 World Cup final? And so Gibbs goes, possibly, but so was Salt Bay. You think that means anything now? And so the question is, so who actually has seen Sheikh Jassim in the flesh? Not the Glazers, according to Sir Jim, which feels like it should have been a high-priority meeting. Certainly there were plenty of issues to be discussed. Members of high society move in mysterious ways. And now where? Revenge tour. So basically, Sir Jim Ratcliffe was questioning whether or not Sir Jim Ratcliffe actually exists. And he's probably not the only one to question whether or not Sir Jim Ratcliffe exists as an actual person. Just out there, just kind of out there. Does the guy actually exist? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. So, intriguing stuff out of that. We mentioned Joe Hart. We mentioned Danny Alves. And we mentioned what's going on with some of the transfer news as we change our locations. Once again, Xabi Alonso is really being looked at as the number 1 to replace Thomas Tuchel at Bayern at the end of the year. The pay cut for Kylian Mbappe, obviously leaving on July 1st, wages £171 million a year. £171 million a year for Mbappe and PSG's wages. He ain't making that at Real. Kavi Solokal refers to it as the most expensive free transfer in history. Real are still negotiating the final deals of the contract, the final details. Terms haven't yet been agreed. Kavi says the money that Real Madrid would have been paying as a transfer fee, they're basically going to be paying to the player. Massive signing on fee. Reports in Spain it could be over £100 million. Turned down the £188 million, €220 offer for Mbappe. PSG did. Turned down €220 million in August of 21. He then signed a new 3-year deal. Mbappe looked set to join Real in May of 22. Frozen out, not included in the club's preseason tour after turning down Al Hilal's £259 million offer. Reinstated. No other clubs actively were trying to sign him. So it looks like, yes, he'll be making less. But he'll be making less in a year-to-year basis. But he's going to be getting a big signing bonus up front. So I think he's making 1/3 what he was making at PSG, but he's getting the big signing bonus up front. Xabi Alonso at his morning press conference for Bayern Munich said he has no problem with speculation linking him to the Bayern Munich vacancy. Right now, he's got an 8-point lead on them, strongly linked to Liverpool. Quote, says it's not a problem. It's a super opponent that we have, but there is no distraction. For me, the speculation, is not a problem. I know my goal is to be successful with my team. That's my job. Currently in a good position, we want to keep it normal to have questions, but it is not an issue for me. And Pep Guardiola, in an interview, actually said that he would like to manage a national team at some point in his career. That is not a surprise that Pep Guardiola would want to manage a national team when his time is done. I mean, could you see him? Pick a national team of your favorite. Pick your favorite national team. Could you imagine Pep Guardiola? I know a lot of folks would like to picture Pep Guardiola as the manager of the men's national team here in the U.S. There's always hope, right? See, now that's something that Bart and Maddie ought to discuss next time out on Monday. Tell you what, when Bart's on Monday, remind me. We'll talk to him about it. According to the Daily Express, Thomas Tuchel has set his sights on becoming Manchester United's next manager, as well as Bayer Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso. Liverpool are also looking at Piero Hincapié, Florian Wirtz, and Edmund Tapsoba to come over from Leverkusen, along with Xabi Alonso, to fill out the roster. Telegraph says that Tuchel will put the country's top clubs and the FA on red alert, prioritizing a move back. Not necessarily a surprise. Yeonmin Son held face-to-face talks with his South Korea teammate after the battle of ping pong that resulted in breaking a finger. He asked, Sonny has asked fans to forgive Kang-in Lee for the bust-up. Women's Super League matches could be played on Friday and Saturday nights next season once the new television deal's agreed to. And according to the Times, Gary Neville's been invited by Manchester United to join a special committee to oversee the regeneration of Old Trafford and surrounding areas. So Gary Neville, it's like, bruh, we need, come on in here and be a part of this committee. Wonder how long that'll last. Once again, we talked about Luke Shaw this morning. Talked about a 15-year-old from Aberdeen. Once again, you're developing talent. It's amazing what happens when you develop talent. You can sell it on and get the money back and reinvest it in yourself and bring in more talent. Strange how that works. When you want to play the kids at Aberdeen, who did that? Somebody named Stephen Glass. And you grew impatient. Hopefully you've learned from your lesson. Glassy, hopefully we'll have Glassy on before the USL Championship season starts. We'll discuss what's going on in Memphis 901. German media claim a huge, and this is from Daily Mirror. German media claim a huge rift in the Bayern Munich squad caused the departure of Thomas Tuchel. Harry Kane on the side of those wanting him to stay. Thomas Müller, Joshua Kimmich led those wanting him to be replaced. Danny Murphy's warned Liverpool against appointing Thomas Tuchel as their replacement for Klopp, claiming the former Chelsea boss would be too divisive for the club. Organizers of the recent Green Football Weekend have admitted their disappointment that the Premier League stopped clubs from wearing green armbands during matches, instead limiting it to just pre-match warm-ups. According to our friends at The Independent, UEFA and the FIFA are in a standoff over regulations on multi-club ownership, as the two big confederations struggle to find a solution for one of the big issues in the sport today. Old Firm's Derek McInnes revealed he wants to end a dream campaign at Kilmarnock with a place in the season's Scottish Cup final. And good luck on that. A supercomputer is predicting the Scottish Premiership title race will go down to the wire. Apparently also in Scotland, and I saw this, it was in the news, apparently Hibs had to apologize that they did not tell folks about the bonus, the contract extension for their, for their manager. And so it was, it's like, okay, tell you what, we're going to sign our guy to a contract extension, but we're not going to tell you. And then they signed to a contract extension, and then the fans didn't find out about it until it actually happened. And so they're pretty mad. Not necessarily a surprise, mind you. It's like, we're not happy about where things stand. And so guess what? You signed our guy to a contract extension. That's not cool. So Hibs fans are mad about a contract extension that was found out. Not necessarily a surprise. And apparently now, for those of you that watch Welcome to Wrexham, the Cop Stand is sponsored by the Four Walls whiskey brand. The temporary Cop has a new sponsor. Rob McElhenney, Charlie Day, Glenn Howerton, they started Four Walls, the Irish-American whiskey brand. So the Cedar Stand opened just before Christmas to raise capacity for the racehorse ground, and Wrexham expected to lose around £250,000 by building the stand at the end of the stadium that had been empty since 2008. Sponsorship deals should help offset that, at least part of it. The new 5,500 capacity Cop due to be built behind the goal, part of the £25 million Wrexham Gateway scheme. Scheme in England means different than here. Scheme over there is more positive plan as opposed to scheme that we think of, Snidely Whiplash and twirling the mustache and all that kind of stuff. So the plan was to start work last June, had the new stand open in time for the 24-25 season. But a series of problems, including the need to reroute a sewer under the land and move an electric substation, meant the project was delayed. So the sewer has been sorted. They can hopefully get the work underway in the summer on a project that'll take a little under a year to complete. Sean Dyche says that the appeal uncertainty is not affecting Everton players. Players have worked hard and diligently, very pleased with what they're doing on a daily basis. I don't think it's affecting them in a literal everyday business way. But I'm sure in the back of their minds, they're still wondering, come on, then what are you going to tell us where we're at? We look at it as it is now, and unfortunately that process is taking some time. And we talked about 777 Partners and where they are still awaiting the approval of a takeover. So we're waiting to hear from both the Financial Conduct Authority and the FA. Sean Dyche was also asked about the point deduction appeal in his press conference, and he's like, I don't have a clue. Or certainly I haven't at the moment. Guidelines have been around at the end of the month, so we'll have to wait and see. So Sean Dyche, very, very busy this morning. I don't know if you saw it, the nasty knee injury with Aaron Ramsey for Burnley in the match against Arsenal. Stretchered off in the second half, and he was down for a while. So Vincent Kompany had his press conference this morning. Unfortunately for us, it's as bad as we thought. Definitely season over, and maybe for a larger part of this year, he won't feature. Blow for him, part of his career, so we'll support him as best we can. He'll make a full recovery and be an important player for us in the future. Just unfortunate that it's happened at a time when he was coming through. So serious knee injury, Aaron Ramsey out for the rest of the season, out for a very long time. Seamus Coleman is back in training for Everton, and you're going to be looking at that. Definitely be looking at that for Everton to help them at the back. We mentioned Pep Guardiola. Nnamdi Onigwara at The Athletic. Guardiola said he wants to manage a national team before he retires from coaching. 8 years, 14 trophies so far for City. Told ESPN, contract expires with the club in the summer of 25. He says, a national team, I'd like to train a national team for a World Cup or a European Championship. I would like that. Asked whether he had a preference of which country he manages, he added, I don't know who would want me. Undersell. To work for a national team, they have to want you, just like a club. I would like to have the experience of living through a World Cup or a Euro or a Copa America or whatever it is. I would like that. I don't know when that would be, if that's 5, 10, 15 years from now, but I would like to have the experience of being a manager in a World Cup. Oh, I know some people that are going to be looking at this on Monday. Yep. Oh, yeah. Start the pep to U.S. talk right now. Start the pep to U.S. talk right now. Abby's got to go work on the poster and stuff for the block party. And two-factor authentication text didn't work for Kefsey, so Kefsey didn't get any PayPal. Let's see. Abby says you should be able to have PayPal send you a code via email. And Abby's getting to work. Hope to see you Saturday. Stop by Fido tomorrow to watch some WNT tomorrow night. Late game start. Abby, yes. She believes is the same weekend as opening day for the Braves. So folks will be busy in Cobb County, and they will be busy downtown. Kefsey, PayPal options, text or verify ID. Yes, so much football. Fun to enjoy the Cyber Attack Thursday together. Thanks for the reminders on events. We're binging that show. Yes, absolutely. No doubt about it. So it's, news is all over the place this morning. And I'm guessing that Nico had some catching up to do with all of his duties with the soccer bar and Pulso Sports. So obviously we'll catch up with Nico next week and find out what's been going on with Nico in match week 1 as we get ready for things. Tomorrow, yes, Hutch, you're correct. If you're having to make multiple payments for seats for a game, they're too damn expensive. True. Unless you had the money saved up in the first place. But, yeah, seeing what you guys posted for the prices is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, NUTZ nuts. A couple of pieces of housekeeping before we go. Later this afternoon, we will be posting an interview with Hal Hirschfeld. Some of you might remember Hal from her time at Clemson, her time with Concord Fire, or her time at Lassiter, or all three, or Indy 11, where she won a USLW title. Number 5 pick overall for the Washington Spirit. We caught up with her Concord Fire team at Croy Bethune. We caught up with Hal yesterday. That interview will be up on the network later today. Also later today, we're going to catch up with Omar Hernandez from the Dalton area and his contract signing with Chattanooga Red Wolves. And we'll catch up with Omar and find out what life is now like as a professional athlete, going from Dalton to Wake to now with Red Wolves. They had a big signing, very, very cool, and it was like 12 degrees outside. They had a lot of folks show up for the signing and the party. So Omar Hernandez, we're catching up with him, one of the new Chattanooga Red Wolves coming into USL League One season. And also, we're going to catch up with a new owner of a franchise in New Jersey in the NPSL. UGA fans might remember Fatan Bauta. We're going to have an interview with him, and that'll be up later this afternoon as well. Yes, Rich, we did talk about it. Andres Cantor announced that the Messi and Argentina friendlies, you get the first one, March the 22nd. Like I said, I imagine it's at the link. For Messi and Argentina, you're going to take it to the link. I don't know the venue. The announcement is supposed to be tomorrow, according to Andres Cantor. It's all right, Rich. It's cool. And then 4 days later, it's going to be at the Mausoleum in Los Angeles against Nigeria. So Messi and Argentina, Philadelphia, March 22nd. This is what happens when you get the Hong Kong government and the Chinese government mad at you. So the Messi friendlies, which the Argentina friendlies, Messi attached, because of the anger with Hong Kong and China, there was talk it was going to be moved to the U.S. It is now officially official. March 22nd, and it is going to be at the link, and then it'll be at the LA Coliseum on the 26th to take on Nigeria. But, the new NPSL team in New Jersey, Faton Bauta, former UGA, so there's ties to the Southeast in addition to ties to the Northeast. So there you go. Ties to the SEC, ties to the Northeast. So later today, Hal Hirschfeld, number 5 overall pick in the NWSL Super Draft. We catch up with her. That gets posted to the network, what it's like for her to be in her first camp with the Spirit. Omar Hernandez, Chattanooga Red Wolves, posted later today. Faton Bauta, NPSL, new franchise in New Jersey, posted later today. So plenty of interviews being posted to the network, and it's great to catch up with all these personalities in all these different places. So, yeah, Hutch, take that, she. Basically, yes. So we'll be back at it again tomorrow morning. And also tomorrow, remember, it is a doubleheader match day for the Friday night game of the week on SDH, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. And it will be the Whitfield County, Hall County Showdown, 5:30 and 7:30. 5:30, it is Northwest Whitfield and East Hall. 7:30, Dalton and Johnson Gainesville. Big stuff presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, Subaru of Gwinnett, and Reverb by Hard Rock, and Alliance Nurse Corp are our sponsors so far for soccer games of the week, the Tuesday night throwdown, Friday night game of the week, and all the games in between during the high school season, the high school sprint that is available to you on the SDH network, soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. Mixlr is where we do all of our live events this season. So soccerdownhere.mixlr.com for the Friday night games of the week, the Whitfield County, Hall County Showdown tomorrow night, 5:30, 7:30. Maddie will have the first game called for you with Northwest Whitfield and East Hall. And then I will have Dalton and Johnson Gainesville tomorrow night, 7:30. So we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully the wallets and the credit cards that were used this morning, if you were season ticket holders trying to get Copa America tickets, hopefully they have stopped smoking. And hopefully they have not set the rest of your wallets on fire from within because of how much they had to be used this morning. As a part of tomorrow on the show, once again, 9:30, our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, 10 o'clock, Kevin Egan joining us to break down everything in Major League Soccer, 10:30. The weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. We'll take you through the weekend, all the juice boxes, all the fun facts at 10:30 tomorrow to get you ready for the weekend. And don't forget, Atlanta and Columbus is the early game on Saturday as well. So busy Friday, busy Thursday, off air, off live. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05, to talk through the weekend, get you ready for the weekend, catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals, Kevin Egan, MLS 360, weekend whip around, very, very busy Friday. And hopefully you got your tickets, and hopefully you're not ruining the decision. But Abby, once again, PayPal, you can pay it off in sections. So very, very cool stuff there. Thanks to Jason for joining us before practice this morning. Thanks to Matty Cruz on the ones and twos to get you ready for everything here on the show. Once again, thanks to all y'all. We couldn't do it without you. It's great to see you last night at Elsewhere. You can pick up our Marshall Islands scarf. You can Venmo me. You can reach out on socials and on on the Discord, and we can help out the Marshall Islands. And we will continue to do so because I have all the scarves here, and they're ready to get shipped to you to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. So back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05, and we will discuss everything going on as we get ready for the first full weekend of Major League Soccer in 2024. Messi and friends survive, beating RSL 2-0. Man, it's going to be a watch. I'll tell you that right now. And Derek, thank you for the follow on the Twitters. I will put you on my lists because right now, apparently, I can't follow anybody else on Twitter right now because I've maxed out. So I have to put people on lists. Yay me. They should just let you follow however many people you want. It's like Instagram. But no, I have to stop at 5,001 right now for some reason. And I've continued to ask for extensions, and they're like, no. So, Derek, I'll put you on some of my lists for the OSG Nelson Twitter's account. It is very weird that you're limited to how many folks you can follow. It's dumb. But we'll be back at it again, 9:05, and we will get you ready for the weekend, first weekend in Major League Soccer for 2024. For Maddie, for Jason, for Jarrett, for Nick, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us. Back at it again in a little less than 22 hours. Mucha Plati, I'll play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, it means I get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning.